Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are addressing the fact that we are now in Preptober, which is terrifying, and I don't think any of us are really feeling prepared for it, and I have a few tips on how to help get through the month, because God knows I need all the help I can get to get through the month. I'd also like to point out the fact that Tom has once again left sweets in his office, and he really needs to stop doing that when he knows I'm filming in here. That was smooth, I hit my teeth. Preptober, the month of October where everybody who is taking part in NaNoWriMo starts preparing and starts getting everything ready in order to give themselves the best chance of actually completing the 50,000 word target. This can be anything from getting your projects ready, understanding your writing style, maybe even maybe even going over a plan of yours for the millionth time just to make sure it's perfect, or maybe even going over the millionth draft of a book that you've already written, but just want to make sure that one last draft is perfect and NaNoWriMo is the time to do it. There is no one-shot way of completing NaNoWriMo, just like there is no one-shot way of being ready during Preptober. It is just a complete mashup that we're all just trying to get through. So from past experiences with Preptober, some being completely thrown together in the last week of Preptober, others actually taking a full month to make the most of the time available to me, I've put together a few hints and tips. Last year I did two videos, one things that you should do during Preptober, one that you probably shouldn't do during Preptober, or Nano, I can't remember which one it was, a year ago feels like such a long time, but this is like a mixed up condensed version with maybe a few more tips I just thought I'd share. The first tip I have for you to get through this month is know your writing style. Are you a pantser? Are you a plotter? Are you a bit of a mixture of both? Honestly, it doesn't matter. You have your writing style and you do your own thing. Just make sure you actually know what it is, because that is going to really help with your planning process and understand your own mindset, so that when you do get stuck, you would know that, you know, you might have a plan available, or you might have a few hints and tips just to get through your own pantsing system. I am a bit of a pants plotter, so I will have my plan ready and I will try and make it as detailed as possible, but I am fully aware that I rarely stick to it. It is more of a very vague guideline, so I am fully aware that things are going to go skew-if, but I have a few things in place ready for when that happens. Knowing your writing style, even if it's going to change later on down the line, knowing that beginning step is going to help you so much. The second one feels like it's kind of a given, but there's been so many occasions, personally speaking, where everything has just gone out the window, and this is know your project. Know what you are actually going to be working on during NaNoWriMo, because there's so many times when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have this idea, and then like October 31st, just suddenly been like, oh no, actually I want to write about this instead, and it's just gone completely out the window. If you know your project and you've given yourself time to get excited about your project, it's just going to make things so much easier. It makes your mind so much more focused. Just know in advance what you're going to be working on, because it will save you so much more of a headache later on down the line. And if you're feeling indecisive, then plan for that as well. Plan a series of projects that you want to work on all at once and just combine the word counts. Have your separate documents ready. Just keep track of the word counts like that, because then if you know you're working on multiple projects, you have the ability to plan the time for multiple projects, rather than it just being suddenly dropped on your lap at the last minute because your anxiety-fueled brain has decided that's the best option. Number 3 is don't be afraid to experiment this month. Your writing style, your writing voice, the different characters, the tone, the themes, the genres. Just go crazy with it. Even what kind of tense you're going to be using. It honestly doesn't matter if you change it later down the line, like if you're halfway through and then realise, oh, I've been writing in first person from this person's perspective, but really it would be better in a different tense, maybe set in the past and more of a third person kind of thing rather than the first. oh, I don't know, oh, but now I'm gonna have to start the whole thing over again. No, you do not, because that is what editing is for later. If you suddenly decide you want to try and change the tense, then that is perfectly fine. It is your story, you can do whatever you want with it, and editing is where you can fine-tune it later on. But Preptober is the time to experiment, see what works for you, do practice writings, do sprints, all focusing on different styles and tenses and points of views, different characters, different motivations. This is your time just to go, I don't know why I'm doing this so much today, but this is your time to go crazy with it, because then you'll have a bit of a more solid structure to work up from when you actually start the real project, because you already know what has the higher percentage chance of working for you. The fourth one is, and it's a little bit scary, but don't be afraid to announce your project. And I don't just mean on the website, I mean announce it to someone you live with, announce it to a friend that you trust, maybe a writing buddy. Just voice what your project is and what your goal is and let it be known. Because, I don't know, for me, once I've let people know, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing, it kind of lights a bit of a fire up my backside where I'm kind of like, okay, now I've set a bar for myself and now people are expecting something from me, so now I kind of need to actually get working on it. And it just provides a little bit more motivation, a little bit more of an incentive, I suppose, because in your mind you don't want to let people down, even though you know you're not going to be letting them down, but just voicing it makes it feel so much more real, especially when you have someone asking, hey, how's this getting on? And even having someone on your back a little bit, just being like, hey, have you reached your word count today? Hey, how's your writing project going? Hey, how's this, how's that? It reminds you, it keeps the project in your mind at all times, and it does provide some good motivation. So it's a little bit scary, but announcing it does really help. Number 5, set goals for both Preptober and NaNoWriMo. And I know that you think, oh, NaNoWriMo, it's just reaching 50,000 words, that is my goal. But sometimes you have your own personal goals, sometimes you have a full draft that you want to complete, sometimes you have redrafting to do. There is no just one single goal. It is very rare that you'll have someone going, yeah, I just want to get this done this month. It's like, no, there's always something deeper there. So you need your goals for NaNoWriMo, but you also need your goals for Preptober, and by that I mean writing lists. Write lists of everything that needs to get done so that it can be less of a distraction when NaNoWriMo comes around, because the last thing you need is to be sitting there and then realise, oh, this needs to be done by tomorrow, but I haven't reached my word count, but I need to do this, and for me, that is getting videos pre-recorded, that is getting reviews done, that is getting a few bits and pieces with work training out of the way. That is all happening this month, and I need to get it done this month so that it is not stressing me out during Nano. You need to have your goals for prep, and you need to have your goals for Nano. Also, it just feels so nice when you can cross things off your list. It's just a little bit of a oof feeling. Number 6 is just go all out when you come to planning, whether it's characters or story, you name it, you just go all out. Just throw up everything onto the page, whether it's writing or typing. Even if you think this is not a good plot point, I do not want this, but it's still in your head, write it down anyway, because once you get everything out there and you've gone so damn overboard that when you look at your plan and it's just this cluster frick that you need to jigsaw back together into something coherent, you're a little bit like, okay, I have had so many ideas, I can put these on the back burner, I can put these up front. The more over the top you are during planning, the easier it is to put it into segments later on that actually make sense for the story, for you and for your readers. Just go all out with planning. Do not hold back, because if you try and limit yourself now, you're not going to feel as creative and free, and you're not going to enjoy it as much later down the line. So go overboard now so that you can rein it in later. Number 7, this has helped me just in terms of getting used to time management and understanding my limits. For the last week or two of Preptober, treat it as if it's the start of Nano. And by that I mean, you don't have to start your project a week early. You don't have to start figuring out your word counts or anything that early. But if you start treating NaNoWriMo as if it's happening a week early, then in your head you have already tried to convince yourself to get into a writing routine, you have an idea of your limits, you have an idea of how many words you can sort of put into a day without burning yourself out. By bringing it back a week, you can understand your own work process so much better. It's not just 1st of November comes around and suddenly the floodgates have opened and you're just feeling so overwhelmed because you've had a week or two of practice writing to just get your head around it and know what your limits are. And it also counts towards the experimentation, because then you have an idea of what sort of writing style you've chosen and how to own it, really. And now having a practice week where you can just go all out and experiment and set your goals and everything like that, it just puts things into perspective a little bit more, but without the stress of actually having NaNoWriMo being right there on your doorstep. Number 8, stop putting stuff off. Stuff needs to get done this month. You need to do it. It is as simple as that. If you don't get stuff done now, if you're like, okay, well this project's only going to take me like 2 minutes, so I can do that at any time really, guaranteed you will forget about it, and then you'll be in the middle of a writing slump in the middle of NaNoWriMo where you haven't reached your word count, and then suddenly this other thing that you could have done earlier has popped up and it is just going to be chaos. And as writers, we like a little bit of chaos, but you know, happening to our characters, not to us. If you learn to stop putting stuff off now, then it is just going to make time management so much easier to deal with later on. And also, it's just, again, like I said, it's a good feeling when you cross those things off your to-do list and you're like, right, I never have to worry about it again. Like writing reviews for me, pre-recording videos, there's a few things of work I need to do, there's a few things I need to deal with my car, it's there's a few other things going on, but I know they need to be done this month, so I'm not stressing about them when I'm trying to reach word counts and setting whatever nonsense goal I have set myself for this time, because I still don't know. I need to go back to my other point of setting goals, because it has been a whirlwind. Yes, stop putting stuff off. Half talking to myself on that one, stop putting stuff off. In a similar vein with number 9, but also going in a very different direction, plan for days off. And I know you're thinking, but this is such a big target. I'm not going to have time for days off. What about my day-to-day streaks with writing? You can't take days off. But you can, though. I mean, if you still manage to write every single day, that is fantastic and that is amazing and that is a level that I want to reach for. But at the same time, if you've only managed to do like an hour's worth of writing and you just feel so burnt out that you need a day off, there is nothing wrong with that. Plan for days off even if you have no real intention of taking days off, because then if you do feel burnt out or there's some kind of writer's block going on, or you just feel like I'm just not in the mood for this today, then at least you know, well, I have a day off planned. I could use that today, so then I don't have to use it later on. You can just relax and do your own thing, or maybe you can do a little bit of writing in the morning, and then for the afternoon and evening, you can just relax. You can take a hot bath, you can go for a run, you can read a book, you can just do something that is just for you. Having a day off is nothing to be ashamed of, and it's actually so beneficial for your mental health and your work ethic. And even if you're, like this thing, if you're working another job as well, if you're working a full-time job, a part-time job, if you got something on the weekend, either way, if you're doing other things and you have other priorities and this is just being so stressful for you, then you can just feel so drained and demotivated and tired, and that just takes the fun away from everything. So don't be afraid to take days off. Plan 4 days off, because then even if you don't use them, at least you know you have something to fall back on if you need them. And finally, number 10, try not to burn out too early. Going back to the days off thing, I know that's such a stupid thing to say, don't burn out too easily, because you never know when you're going to burn out, you never know how you're going to be feeling. But what I mean by that is, calm it down. This month, Preptober and Nano are supposed to be fun, full of creativity and madness, and where you are just allowing your brain to run wild with something that you've created, an amazing thing that you have come up with. Why ruin it? Turning it into a chore, turning it into something that has become like an overbearing shadow over your shoulder, it just takes away all the fun and motivation, and it's just not enjoyable for you anymore, because then if you feel like you're not enjoying the writing process, then guaranteed your readers are going to pick up on that and they're just going to realise the writer just didn't really like this, so why should I like this? Just calm it down. Planning is supposed to be chaotic but fun. Writing it is supposed to be nightmare fuel but fun. You need to find that balance of calming down and having a day off and not losing the energy you once had for this project. Burning out can come out of nowhere, so just be really aware of yourself, especially with all of this nonsense going on. I have burnt out very recently, and I'm only just recently starting to get my spark back, I suppose. So don't do a me. Don't burn out, just look after yourself, okay? But those are my 10 tips for Preptober, which kind of lent on to stuff about NaNoWriMo as well. That's just me be going on tangents and not being focused, so I'm sorry about that. But the 10 still stand, I suppose. I hope they've helped you anyway. If you have any hints and tips for me, please let me know, because I need all the blinking help I can get, because I'm a mess. But I am really looking forward to this NaNoWriMo. This Preptober, even. I just have a good feeling about it, and usually when I have a good feeling about something, that means that something really bad is on the way, but you know, we're trying to look on the bright side here, we're trying to stay positive. But that is all I have for you guys today. I'm sorry this was such a ramble, but you know me by now, we ramble here, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you have an amazing Preptober and an even better NaNoWriMo. I'm rooting for you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye, my scribblers.